We're going to start this conference as a summary of El Gran Engaño or The Big Deception. It's the continuation of the previous conference, number 82, from a year ago. Now we've done well over 100, and we are going to continue with this theme. It might seem that we are not really interested, but in reality it's transcendental for all of us. We have called it From Pope to Pope. And as you can see from these images, it pretty much sums up what we're going to talk about. The dark truth about the Jesuits and their objective. As you know, the new Pope is a Jesuit. Well, we're going to expose who the Jesuits really are. We're talking before Benedict 16 Resignation, just to get into perspective. Chinese welcome the Year of the Serpent, which vaticinates knowledge and prudence. You might wonder, what does this have to do with it? Well, this Year of the Serpent is the one they've been waiting for, because they believe they can change the course of history. That's what Chinese hope for. The Oriental traditions from which we are receiving a lot of influence and are so accepted in Western world nowadays. Well, this year there are Chinese people that are speaking out about something rather interesting. Within their omens for this year, some said it will be a good year for businesses, distribution, and politic matters, since the only reptilian in the Chinese calendar symbolizes good fortune and wisdom. This is what the serpent is to them. The Year of the Serpent is ideal to get rid of old habits and thoughts. Some said about the next changing government. It is the year to reinvent ourselves. Serpents shed their skin, and humans can also do it, he added. Notice we are talking about China, but this is exactly what happened in the Vatican. They have also reinvented. They have shed their skin with the new Pope. Let's analyze it. The Year of the Serpent is here, and it is also called Small Dragon. Here you have it. And this year coincides with great misfortunes for humanity. Year of the Serpent, or Small Water Dragon, means change and misfortunes. But let's also remember, and we talked about it before, that there is a place where it describes what the serpent or the dragon, which happen to be the same, really are. And in order to do that, we have to look at some really old biblical texts, discarded by many, where it says that it's Satan. And that is precisely what Oriental cultures pay tribute to. And it is also directly linked with the famous or infamous number 13, as we showed in the previous conference as well. Take a look at this passage from Revelation 12, verses 9, where it says, "And that great dragon was cast out, the old serpent who is called the devil and Satan, who seduced the whole world, and he was cast onto the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." And you'll think, how is this related? Well, when we know how to decode what's written in these enigmatic texts, we can understand the big deception that's been set up in order to make bad things look as good. Here you have it. The Pope salutes China and Asia for the Lunar New Year, and here he gives recognition to China and other Asian countries, precisely for the beginning of that Lunar New Year. That began February the 10th. Benedict 16 Resignation came right after this, when it is time for change and transmutation. He said he resigned because of poor health, but we proved in the conferences that that was not the real reason. The Pope's resignation might seem surprising to some of us, but in order to understand it, we have to look at the calendar. Pay close attention to this. The date is not a coincidence. Today's liturgical celebration for the Church is that of Virgin Lourdes, on the anniversary of the most famous Marian apparitions. And when did that happen? 11th. Days 11th of February. Look at these strange coincidences that once again take place here. The Pope resigns when he is 85 years old. 8 plus 5 equals 13. We're doing numerology, what they normally work with, which is Kabbalah in reality, Spiritism. Day of the announcement, 11th, which means approved by divine law. That's why he picked that day. Time of the Pope's resignation according to media, 11:47. Added up equals 13. Day and month of the announcement, 11:02, which also equals 13. Day of the announcement coincides with Virgin Lourdes Day, 11th of February, again equals 13. And by the way, who appears there is not the Virgin of Lourdes, and we've demonstrated. Day, month, and year of the announcement, 11/02/2013. Added equals 10. 10 means plenitude. 1 plus 0, which equals God. Resignation date, 28/02/2013. If we add it up, equals 18, which is 3 times 6, which means devil's number. And it is also the year of the serpent, or small water dragon, which means change and despair, Satan, number 13. All these so-called coincidences don't happen by chance. Was there a bad omen or a sign? Look at this mysterious lightning striking the Vatican. When? When the Pope resigned. This lightning manifested with a massive roar right over St. Peter's Basilica. Here we have a close-up. But look at this text from Luke 10:18, a biblical text. He told them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Precisely where? On the Vatican. Pope Francisco's election. George Mario Bergoglio, new Pope under the name Francisco. Pay attention to the date, 13/03/2013. Here we have it. If we add it up, it equals 13. And it also was on the 13th. 13 means death and resurrection, total change, transformations. 12 plus 1, Messiah. For occultism and Satanism, 13 equals Lucifer or Satan. Were these numbers coincidences? Let's look back at this extract from conference number 3 of El Gran Engaño, back in 2006, where there was a pontificate change from John Paul II to Benedict XVI. We recorded it as it happened, and there were all these coincidences, which all added 13, because they had to be coincidences, right? There were even a few more Kabbalistic numbers. Pay close attention. The Pope's election hasn't been decided yet, they said. And in that key moment, they had to vote exactly 33 times, till finally the new Pope was elected. 11 means approved by divine law. 3 means the Trinity. 11 plus 11 plus 11 equals 33. Approved 3 times by divine law, by the Trinity. But be careful, not the Christian Trinity that we know, but the pagan Trinity instead. We must differentiate this, and we explained it in detail in our conferences. Here we have the new Pope, as he appeared on the balcony. Can you remember? It was very interesting because the light at St. Peter Basilica turned on, but they didn't come out. We were looking at the clock, and precisely at 20 hours and 23 minutes they appeared on the balcony. Not a minute earlier or later. 20:23. It is also 8:23. And if we add up the numbers, as you can see, equals 13. But let's move on. Here we have something very meaningful. Here we go. The Argentinian Jesuit Jorge Mario Bergoglio is the new Pope, named Francisco. He is the first Latino and also the first Jesuit in Vatican's history to become Pope. Pope Benedict XVI resigned at the age of 85, which equals 13. Pope Francisco was elected at the age of 76. It also equals 13. Pope Francisco's election was on the 11th week of the year. The papal seat was vacant for 13 days. He was named priest of Jesus' army by the emeritus Bishop Ramon Jose Castellano in Cordoba, Argentina on May 13th. And what else happened? What was the time of the white smoke? 1906, which is 706, and once again equals 13. And there was also the enthronement on March 19th, which also equals 13, of course. Let's see a bit of this numerology. He is, as you can see here, the first non-European pope in 13 centuries. Pope with Pope. Benedict XVI returns to the Vatican happy and with the intention of dedicating himself to prayer. He left and now he comes back. He will continue living in the Vatican. And look at the date this happened. May 2nd, 2013. When we add it up, obviously it turns out to be 13. The enclosed monastery where he was going to live was instituted on May 13th. And what also happened on May 13th? They consecrated Francisco's pontificate and the World Youth Day to Fatima's Virgin. May 13th in Fatima, Pope Francisco's pontificate and the World Youth Day will take place in Rio de Janeiro. This year in July will be consecrated to Virgin Mary, and as we demonstrated, Virgin Mary appearances are satanic. It isn't Virgin Mary that appears there. Look at the conferences where we prove it. And look at this also. The Patriarch Cardinal proposed that the consecration took place on May the 13th. He said it. Let's move on to go faster. We don't have much time. 13s show up everywhere. If you post the images, you will see it in detail. Let's look at some surprising signs of humility of this new Pope that are deceiving a lot of people. What did he start doing? He began showing signs of simplicity, humility, of energy that all media is talking about. Some people are even posting on the internet the 7 basic differences between popes, from someone that appears very solemn and rich to someone that appears very homely and humble. The change is obviously starting to have its effect. People are really accepting that he is humble, him and obviously the whole new pontificate. The whole world in favor of the beast. What am I saying now? Look, 132 countries participated in the start of Francisco's papacy. Here you can see on the left Joe Biden, Catholic from the USA. On the right is Angela Merkel, a Lutheran, but basically with the same speech as Pope Francisco. And in the middle we have the Jesuit Mariano Rajoy together with the Spanish Prince Felipe, who also studied in a Jesuit school. Where does the expression the beast come from? Let's look at Revelation 13 verses 3 and 4 on the Bible. And I saw one of his heads, as he were slain to death, and his death's wound was healed, and all the earth was in admiration after the beast. Let's talk about this. In 1798, history tells that General Berthier, following Napoleon orders, put the Pope in jail, and it seemed the Vatican was over. But a few months later, that deadly wound was healed, and he came back even stronger, to the point where the prophecy says that the whole world will be in favor of the beast. People worship the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. And who is the dragon? Satan. We analyzed it, remember? And they also worship the beast and asked, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? If you have any doubts about this, look at the conferences and you will see some overwhelming details history narrates regarding this. We just can't turn our backs on history and prophecies. Look at this image. Pope Francisco with the broken cross and his coat of arms. We showed that this broken cross is from the 6th century. We'll talk about it. And this is the coat of arms with a very interesting symbol in the middle. Look at what is in this book by Piers Compton, a declared Catholic. It narrates the origin of the broken cross. The bent cross is a sinister crucifix used by Satanists during the 6th century and was revived during the Second Vatican times. This is a bent or broken cross, where there is a distorted and repulsive image of Christ that sorcerers and black magic practitioners used during the Middle Ages. It represents the biblical term mark of the beast. Not only Paul VI, but also his successors held this object to be reverenced by the multitudes. Who did they really worship? God? No, Satan. The Jesuits. Let's look now at a bit of history. The Jesuits were expelled from many nations. Did you know this? This isn't normally taught in schools, and don't give us the reasons either. Why could that be? Were they so good that nobody wanted them? You can do a bit of research. It is well documented. You'll see they were expelled from many countries, even from Spain. But this has obviously an explanation. In Spain, members of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, became illegal as a consequence of the application of Article 26 of the Constitution during the Second Republic from 1931. Pay close attention to that year. The reason was the fourth vow of obedience to the Pope. We'll analyze what that vow of obedience is. They were expelled in 1931, and what took place in Spain shortly after? Do you remember? The Spanish Civil War. What has happened in every country after the Jesuits were expelled? A war. And immediately after, they returned to those countries. The same thing happened even in Korea. And here we have it. The Black Pope, who is Adolfo Nicolas, Superior General of the Society of Jesuits. They work as a military order. And to the right, the White Pope. Who is really in charge? The White Pope or the Black Pope? The Black Pope is the Superior General, not the other. And let's look now at the Jesuit Oath, which is the true reason behind their expulsion. What you're going to see now is extracted from Alberto Rivera's words, an ex-Jesuit that by saying this paid with his life. He was poisoned to death. Pay close attention to what you are about to see. The hidden side of the Jesuits, their extreme oath. Can you see their symbol? We'll talk about it later. In this extract, he says, the purpose of the Society of Jesuits, established by the Pope in 1540, is to destroy the Protestant Reformation. They call it the Counter-Reformation. Niccolini of Rome wrote, the Jesuits, by the true essence of their institution, are bounded to search through any means, good or bad, the destruction of Protestantism. This is the very essence of their existence, what they must accomplish or cease from being Jesuits. And this was published in 1894. Let's look now at an extract from the Jesuits' Oath. With this goal, the professed Jesuit is bounded to an oath, pact of which was published in 1899, and I read, now I resign and don't acknowledge any loyalty to any heretic king, prince, or state, whether Protestant or liberal, and the obedience to any of their laws, magistrates, or officials. Therefore, I declare that the Scottish and English churches, doctrines from Calvinists, Huguenots, or any other Protestant or liberal, to be condemned, and any individual who didn't abandon them. I then declare that I will assist, help, and give advice to all or any agents of the holiness, wherever I might be, Switzerland, Germany, Norway, Holland, Denmark, Sweden, England, Ireland, or America, or any other kingdom or territory where I went, and I will do my best to extirpate the heretic Protestants or liberal doctrines and destroy any pretended power, whether legal or not. In 1981, Albert Rivera reported this. Here you have Adolfo Nicolas, Spanish. Introduction ceremony and extreme oath of the Jesuits. The superior speaks. You know they have levels like Masonry. The ones at the bottom don't know anything. They believe in what they do. They are sincere. But as they go up, they start realizing what really moves them and what their purpose is going to be. My son, up until now you have been taught to act as a deceiver among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic and to be a spy among your own brothers, to not believe in any man and to not trust any man, among the Reformers to be a Reformer, among the Huguenots to be a Huguenot, among the Calvinists to be a Calvinist, among the Protestants, those who protest and don't agree with the Roman Catholic institution, be a Protestant and obtain their trust and even preach from their pulpits, and to report with all vehemence, violent emotion, in your temperament to our holy religion and the Pope, and even go as low as being a Jew among Jews, in order for you to gather all the information for the benefit of your order as a loyal soldier of the Pope. Do you know what this is? Infiltration. They would impersonate Protestants, even as great preachers. Not only that, they would even get involved in politics to lead the masses to the objective thereafter, the submission to the Vatican. And he keeps talking about all they would do, and honestly, it's breathtaking, because they even say that if killing is convenient, they would kill. You can look at all this in detail in your homes. Secret instructions of the Jesuits. This can still be found. It was secret, but it was revealed. Here you have it. And here is where Alberto Rivera explained all his experiences. Look also at this. The Jesuits were expelled years ago from Spanish territories for gravely conspiring against the country and its ruler, at the expense of whom, at the same time, lived and expanded. Keep in mind that for many years, the word Jesuit, it had two definitions in the Spanish Royal Academy Dictionary. One was belonging to the Jesuits, and the other was hypocrisy. This definition was taken out in 1967. In many literary texts, to become a Jesuit is to impersonate an innocent without being innocent. Striking. Let's look at some famous sentences referred to the Jesuits. John Adams, second President of the United States of America, said once, "The history of the Jesuits might not have been written in a very eloquent manner. However, it is supported by unquestionable authorities. The restoration of the Jesuits in 1814, carried out by Pope Pius VII, truly represented a step towards cruelty, darkness, and despotism, and death. I don't like the Jesuits' appearance. If there ever was a group of men that deserved condemnation here on earth and in hell, this would be Ignatius de Loyola's society, the Jesuits. Everybody knew them. We will see what they did in the USA, that we haven't been taught in school. Abraham Lincoln. You all know him. The American Civil War would have never been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. Now you understand why the War of Secession in the United States happened. They wanted to bring the country, declared as Protestant, down to the knees of Rome. Samuel Morse, the telegraph inventor. The Jesuits are a secret society, sort of like a Masonic logia, but with some horrific and detestable characteristics that makes them 1,000 times more dangerous. Loyola's secret instructions is founder. Ultimately, let's do everything so cunningly so that we manage to control nobles, princes, and magistrates from each place, so they are at our disposal, even to the point where they would sacrifice their own families and closest friends, when we say is for our interest and benefit. And this is all history. Were you aware of it? I recommend this book, Vatican Assassins, where you can see this site and many others with history and in detail. This is a small extract from this book, which talks about the Jesuits by Eric John Phelps. The Jesuits, now suppressed by the Pope, back in 1776 were allies with Frederick the Great from Prussia and Catherine from Russia. The Jesuit general was in control of the Scottish Rite from Masonry, now looking for an alliance with the Rothschild Masonic Lodge in England, of whom we have talked in the conferences. In order to achieve this, the Jesuit general picked a Jesuit who was a Jew by race, Adam Weishaupt. Weishaupt was a brilliant instructor of canonical law, the Malignant Council of Trent, in a Jesuit university in Bavaria, where Angela Merkel is from. Someone from the Ingolstadt Jesuit school claims to be initiated in a sect known as the Bavarian Illuminati, founded by Adam Weishaupt. Its nominal founder, however, he seems to have had a subordinate role, although conspicuous, in the organization of this sect. And what happened the 1st of May in 1776? The Illuminati were founded. And we could even find more things until we get to some sentences by Napoleon. They were used by themselves. The Jesuits are a military order, not a religious order. Its boss is an army general, not a mere Father Abbot from a monastery. And their objective of this organization is power. Power in its most despotic version. Absolute power, universal power. Power to control the whole world by just one man's will. Jesuitism is the most absolute despotism and the biggest and most enormous of the abuses. The Jesuit general insists in being the master over the sovereigns. Wherever the Jesuits are admitted, they will become masters, whatever it costs. Its society is dictatorial by nature. Therefore, it is the irreconcilable enemy of any constructed authority. Each act or crime, although atrocious, it is a meritorious deed when committed by the Jesuit general interests or by order of the general. And all this is history. There are more famous phrases, and we could continue a lot longer. Another book I strongly recommend, The Secret Terrorists by Bill Hughes, where you will even see who was behind the Titanic's sinking. Unbelievable, right? And another incredible book that shouldn't be missing from any library, Conflict of the Ages, written by Ellen G. White, who lived from 1827 to 1915. The book was written in 1888. Look at what she wrote, well documented, about the Jesuits. After the First Reform triumphs, Rome gathered new strength with the hope of destroying it. As you know, the Protestant Reform was against the power of the Vatican. It was then when the Jesuits were born, and they were going to be the most cruel, the least scrupulous, and most formidable of all papacy champions. Free from any earthly bond or any human interest, insensitive to the voice of natural affection, deaf to the arguments of reason and the voice of consciousness, its members wouldn't obey any laws except the ones from their order, and their only worry was to extend their mightiness. The gospel of Christ had trained its adherents to face the dangers and endure the ailments without dismaying by the cold, hunger, work, or misery, and to uphold tirelessly the flagship against torture, jail, or bonfire. Against these forces, Jesuitism would inspire its adepts with such a fanatism that enabled them to endure similar threats and oppose the power of truth with all weapons of deception. Why do you think they are on the first line in all conflicts? They are the Pope's soldiers. For them, no crime was too big, no lie was too vile, and no disguise too hard to bear. Bonded by vows of poverty, of perpetual poverty and humility, they studied the art of taking possession of wealth and power, to use them to destroy Protestantism and the reestablishment of papal supremacy. The new Jesuit Pope, isn't he showing some of these traits? The same ones. History doesn't change. The characters follow the guidelines. Announcing themselves as members of the order, they would have an air of holiness, visiting jails, helping the sick and the poor, appearing to resign from the world and bearing the holy name of Jesus, the one that did good deeds, but under this anointed meekness often hid criminal and deadly purposes. It was a fundamental principle of the order that the end justifies the means. Under that principle, lies, theft, perjury, and murder were not only forgivable, but worthy of promotion, as long as they served the interest of the Church. With very diverse disguises, the Jesuits would introduce in government posts. That's why they were expelled, climbing up to the category of royal advisors and directing country's politics. They would turn into servants in order to spy their masters. They would establish schools for royal descendants and also for ordinary people. And the Protestant kids were made to observe Roman rites. Are Jesuits educators? That's their key role, right? To prepare kids for later. All the outward pomp displayed in the Roman church cult was to confuse the brain and blur and fool the imagination. So the kids betrayed that freedom for which their parents had worked and shed their blood. The Jesuits rapidly spread out through Europe, and wherever they went, they would revive the popery. To grant them with more power, a bull was issued that reestablished the Inquisition. Despite the hatred it generated, even in Catholic countries, the appalling tribunal was established by the authorities obedient to the Pope, and many atrocities too terrible to be committed in plain daylight were perpetrated once again in the obscure and secret dungeons. In many countries, thousands and thousands of the creme de la creme of the nation, the purest and most noble, the most intelligent and educated, the most compassionate and devoted priests, the most patriotic and industrious citizens, the most brilliant writers, the most talented artists, and the most expert artisans were either assassinated or forced to escape to other countries. And now the Jesuits have the power once again. Do you think things are going to be different this time, if you don't do what they want? Ecumenic religion of the New World Order. This is the new goal. This new Pope is going to work towards the ecumenism, to link all religions under just one umbrella, but with someone in charge. Can you imagine who? Let's look now at what appears on St. Ignatius de Loyola's church in Rome. The Pope assures that he will continue with talks towards ecumenism. He is totally bonding with the Jews, mainly because the Vatican plans to move to Jerusalem and are going to do everything towards that goal. But he's also bonding with Islam, with Protestants, Orthodox, Buddhists, and all, and continues working towards that. We're going to see now a series of photographs of a scale model of the future main church of the Jesuits, with integrated parts of temples from all religions to achieve a one world religion. This is not science fiction. It already exists. Here you have it. Let's look at some small details. Can you see some construction typical from Russia? Russian Orthodox? Look also at what other countries appear at their feet, like Spain, of course. Does this remind you of another place, right? From the Muslim world in Turkey? As you can see, Protestant churches united under the same umbrella. It's the Pope's new goal, appearing to do good, to help the people of the world. He's going to achieve it. The crisis is going to get worse, and they, through Caritas, are going to feed the people. Would you bite the hand that feeds you, or would you act according to their laws? That's what they are aiming for. Oh, look, what a surprise. Reiki's origin. Where does it came from? In this book, Reiki's origin is very well documented. From Japan, yes, but from whom? The Jesuits. They work directly with Spiritism, making it look as cosmic energies that penetrate us and we give to others. In reality, it's Spiritism. It's Satanism. And there are many people that truly believe in it without knowing what they are really doing. Well, this is its origin, in reality by Jesuits. If you want more information, look at all our conferences called Dimensional Doors, where you will see how many different disciplines are being used to lead people to all this through the New Era movement, and we aren't even aware of it. I know people don't want to hear this, but it must be said. And let's finish with something really interesting. Jesus Church and St. Ignatius de Loyola. This is the church that is in Rome. The headquarters belong to the Jesuits. And look at the great kindness in which Ignatius de Loyola is portrayed here. Here you have it. This is at the entrance, an extended hand with a mystic head looking up. But what is he stepping on? The floor? With one foot he is, but with the other, he's stepping on a Protestant's head. And then they talk about spiritual exercises to grow and get closer to God. This is the world leader who the Pope obeys to and who is going to prepare a great party for all. And if you don't watch the conferences, you are going to fall into it. And this is his badge, IHS. And look at what's inside the sculpture, where we can see religion flogging heresy. The poor Protestants, flogging them. Different form of kindness, right? And the horror faces while being flogged. You know? History is going to repeat itself. Be aware of this, because in a few years these scenes will be real again. Because they are behind the European Union, behind many governments, working with secret societies to lead the world to a new world order. Why are there so many corruption cases coming out everywhere? So that people believe that things aren't going to be fixed through politics. A moral leader is required. And listen to all countries' leaders. Who are they referring to as the moral leader? The Pope. They work for him. Now you realize why things are the way they are and why all these cases are coming out now when it's always been the same. Let's look now at the Jesuit emblem. Let's look at some details. Can you see a sign like the Argentinian flag made by Masons precisely? Why that parallelism? Can you see something under the 3 letters? Can you see 3 nails? Look at this from Navarro's University. Navarro's University history that comes basically from Opus Dei. Look at this very interesting explanation they give as the icing on the cake. They talk about the graphic symbols in writing and look at what appear in the Hebrew alphabet. See the letter on the left? It's the 6th letter of the alphabet. It's called Baz. The word Baz means nail. It is assigned the numerical value 6. In Hebrew, words have a numerical component, added up, and a meaning. The nail has the numerical value 6. Do you understand this? Well, let's look again. The Jesuit emblem in reality is 666. And what's this? Let's look at Revelation's prophecy. Yes, that book that people claim it cannot be understood. It's silly. Let's look at what it says there. Revelation chapter 13, verses 14 to 18. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the beast, it ordered the inhabitants of the earth to set up an image of the beast, who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. You know, he's talking about the USA. It is the second beast that will give the power to the Vatican. Be aware of this. Obama is Jesuit. Jesuits put him there. He is a grade 32 Mason. I'm not sure if he finally achieved grade 33 or more, but they are all working for the Vatican. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their forehands. We also talked about this on the previous conference. They are going to make everyone observe Sunday as rest day, the day of the adoration of the pagan sun, the day of adoration of Satan. It is not God's day. If you look in the Bible, it is written that rest day is Sabbath, Saturday, and not Sunday. Keep this in mind because they have already manipulated dictionaries and encyclopedias from 1990 onwards to demonstrate that you cannot demonstrate that Saturday is the 7th day and Sunday the 1st day of the week. And it ends saying, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for its number is 666. In the conflict of the ages, this appears. And keep in mind that Rome boasts about never changing Gregory VII and Innocent III principles, which are still the Roman Catholic Church's principles. And if it only had the power, they would implement them with as much power today as in past centuries. Little know Protestants who accept help from Rome to try and exalt Sunday. While they try to achieve this, Rome is aiming at reestablishing its power and regain their lost supremacy. Protestants are bowing to Rome. And Revelation 18 ends up saying something that defines the situation of the Roman Catholic Church. Why do you think that the Vatican is now encouraging reading the Bible? When in the Middle Ages, Bibles were burnt, and anyone with just a verse from the Bible would be burnt as well. But they couldn't get rid of it due to Gutenberg and the press. They started printing Bibles, and many people started realizing the big deception they had put in place with the false Christianity they were promoting, which is completely different from the original. Look how interesting this is. Now they are saying, read the Bible, but we are the only ones that can interpret it. Then we don't gain anything, right? After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. He had great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his splendor. It is talking about a message that was going to be given to the world before this happened. With a mighty voice, he shouted, "Fallen! Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird." When this text was written, Babylon no longer existed. It had disappeared centuries before. Who was he referring to? For all the nations have drunk the maddening wine for her adulteries. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from her excessive luxuries. As you know, this is exactly what Rome is. They are behind all commercial transactions, working with masonry and creating great monopolies, and are in charge of the world's oil. Believe me, I have very influential contacts who claim that they are the ones who decide who can control the oil, and they seem to be totally unrelated, right? Then I heard another voice from heaven say, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of its plagues. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes." Then there will be justice. They are reaching the limit. And it warns that when people find out about all this, to look further. You know, we have to be very sincere, because we might have believed for years some ideas that are wrong. And in order to acknowledge this and realize there is another way, a lot of bravery is needed. All the information about everything I tried condensing today, with all proofs, you can find them on this website, where you will find all the Great Deception conferences. We're going to